Hello everyone, and welcome to another Top 5 Records video. Another one in the series Mono versus Stereo if you want to find out if you should purchase that beautiful classic album in the mono or the stereo version. And today I'm going to be talking about an album that I mentioned in another video rather recently, the top 50 of the best live albums ever. I'm talking about James Brown's Live at the Apollo, a beautiful classic album, and until today, I only heard the stereo version of this album. What I'm holding here is a second American stereo pressing, early 60s, and it's a good sounding version. This was the one I got used to. This was the one I fell in love with. But today, I was lucky enough to walk into a record store here in Amsterdam and to find, although somebody had written on it, so any fans of clean covers beware. um, this is a first US mono pressing of this album. And it's the second time I actually saw this album in a store ever. The first time was this one. And to find the second time a first US mono one with this on the back, also writings, but the one with the picture. I was just thrilled. And it was there for about $5. So I didn't mind the writings on the cover, and the vinyl itself is in good shape, so I'm very happy. And now I can finally do the comparison of these two versions of this gorgeous album. So here we go, mono. Here we go, mono versus stereo. Now, the first thing I noticed while putting on the stereo version is that it's panned really, really horrendously. Yeah. Um, Basically, they put the bass on the left channel. Now, the bass sounds gorgeous on that left channel, but it's one channel of bass. And the right channel has vocals, drums, guitars, more horns. Oh, yeah, I should have noticed, I've said that. The left channel does have some horns. I'm not sure if they mixed a part of the horns to the left channel, if it is bleeding, because the sound and the volume of the horns on the left channel is noticeably softer than the sound on the right channel. But there's also an element of a difference in texture and well, it's not really reverb. There's a different roominess. It might be even different horns. Mixed softly slower. I can't determine that. Then, if you go to the mixing and the placing of the instrument on this one, obviously it's mono. It's all in one channel, and that is so much more coherent on this one. So, first part of my conclusion: if you like a coherent reproduction of this album or pressing of this album, go mono, because the panning of the stereo is really odd. But don't think that this is the end of the comparison, because this record is noticeably, um, this is a very odd one to compare, uh, because there are differences in the quality of the representation of the instruments. There are different dynamics, and there is altogether a different um, roominess on the sound, reverb. So let me try to be as specific about this as possible. For example, when I focus on the bass or when I focus on the quality of the sound of James Brown, there were moments when I thought, oh yeah, it's better in stereo. And I thought, it might be better in mono. The thing is, the nearity of the microphone at the horns, it just changes. So you really have to take a look at a separate at the same moment on the record and put it next to next. Really A, B. Just a couple of seconds of the one record, a couple of seconds of the second record. With studio albums or to a certain degree more coherent live albums, you don't really have that problem. Although with live albums, everything always changes when you hold the microphone different. And then I came to a rather different conclusion. If you take a look at the sound quality, I'm gonna go for this one, because the bass is to the left, and in a certain way, it seems as if the other instruments sound cleaner on the right channel, as if there is more information, a little bit more detail. These are tiny differences. It's not a whole world of difference. Um, but the stereo sounds a little bit cleaner. The mono one sounds a bit messier, as if all the sound is jammed into one place. That's a tough one. The stereo one also has a certain roominess. I hear more reverb in the highs. I have less problems with the presence of the audience. The audience seems to be more noticeable on the mono one, which is also good for the live vibe. So it's really a matter of taste, these differences. Um, Although this has the bad mix, the stereo one, it has a lot of interesting air. It has a nice separation. It has more detail. The horns seem to sparkle more. I have a little bit the sense that there is more detail in the vocals. It sounds a little bit cleaner, and it sounds as if it has a little bit more dynamic even in that regard. So it's a very, very tough comparison. I myself find it hard to decide for which one to go because the audio quality of the stereo is my preferred version, but the mix of the mono. So where do you go? Well, I think this is also a matter of leaving it up to you. Do you prefer a coherent mix, or do you prefer a slightly better sounding version with a clearer sound, more dynamics? My final conclusion, though, because of course I'm gonna give a conclusion, is I'm gonna play both. I'm definitely gonna play both. But I think I'm gonna play the stereo one a little bit more often because I like the clarity, I like the sparkling, and then I'll take the tough bass to the left band for granted. That's my that's my personal advice. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a comment below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.